Welcome to the Stay Ready Real Estate Podcast, where we stay ready so you don't have to get ready. My name is Emeka, and I'll be interviewing a variety amount of professionals in the real estate industry to help you get 1% closer to your goal of buying your next real estate investment. My goal with this podcast is to show the world that people like you and me can buy real estate to build wealth. Today we have Corri Golden. Corri is a full-time real estate investor. His personal portfolio consists of single and small family properties, 10 units across Tennessee and Kentucky. He also invests as a general partner in over 500 units in multifamily in Tennessee, Kentucky, and North Carolina, valued over $50 million. Corri's experience in the real estate industry stems back to 2004, where he worked as a commercial real estate affiliate broker while earning his degree in business and real estate urban development. Later, he transitioned to commercial real estate property management, where he managed over 1 million square feet of retail, office, and industrial properties. Let's listen to Corri. Corri, you want to tell the world a little bit about who you are and what you do?
All right, my name is Corri Golden, originally from Mississippi. Spent most of my life in Nashville, Tennessee. Of late, about 2 weeks ago, I moved or actually about 2 months ago, moved to Lisbon, Portugal. Besides that, I am an investor in real estate. I'm also an avid tennis player and just love to travel.
In Portugal, and you're in the real estate. Are you investing in real estate in Portugal, or are you still investing in the States?
No, we're still focused in the Southeast. We just, Portugal is kind of like one of those lifestyle moves that you kind of make when you need a change in life, I guess.
No, I love it. So tell the audience a little bit about how you are in Portugal and how you are able to continue the real estate business in the Southeast.
Yeah, well, I'm in Portugal all because of and thanks to real estate, to be honest with you. I had lived in Buenos Aires, Argentina for about 5 years. And, I just wasn't ready to live abroad, to be honest with you. I started picking up some debt that I shouldn't have been picking up. And I was making money in Argentinian pesos, which didn't add up. And so moving back to the States after that, I just realized I need to come up with a game plan to allow me to move somewhere else to a different country and also sustain myself. And that's where real estate came into play. Just receiving passive income has been a game changer. Portugal had a lot of options for people receiving passive income, which facilitated an easy visa process. And so here I am. And your second question was, how am I continuously investing in real estate from afar? Just systems and leaning on people that business partners that I've been working with for a while. They're boots on the ground. They're in the markets that we invest in. And so I'm over here making cold calls, analyzing deals. They go visit the property. Once we get close to kind of crossing that finish line, I'll make a trip back to the United States just to, see how things are going. So just systems, processes, and leaning on experienced people.
We've just been talking about real estate in general. What real estate are you investing in? Multifamily, short-term rentals, single-family homes, flips, wholesales. So what is your specialty in real estate right now?
Yeah, so starting out, I was single family and small multifamily, 1 to 4 units. And this was, primarily in 2021 and 22. Three, just completely started, wanted to transition to something larger to kind of scale up a little bit, take advantage of economy to scale. And so now we're just mainly focused on larger multifamily asset.
And you said you wanted to have economies of scale. How was that transition for you? What did you do differently? Did you do anything differently? Or was there like a business plan shift once you moved to multifamily?
Oh, it was a huge shift. First of all, I just needed to work on the mindset, to be honest with you. Single family and small multifamilies, and then jumping up to larger assets. I had some mindset issues that was kind of blocking me. And so I spent literally probably about 4 months just working on that, working on money habits, working on some psychological things I had stopping me with money. And also coincided with that, I was just learning everything I could, listening to podcasts, reading books, joining Mastermind, which helped me greatly immensely. And besides that, yeah, just kind of creating the same processes. The biggest thing was just, you're adding numbers onto what you're trying to analyze and look over. And so, pretty much everything besides that is the same. Of course, the process is a little bit different, and we had to adjust in that manner.
Now, you said you had to basically, take, I call it, take some time off while you're trying to figure out your own systems, figure out, your habits, it sounds like. How was
Right.
that for you? What were you doing for
Yeah.
those 4 months?
Yeah, 4 months, just kind of, first of all, I was super aggressive with my portfolio when starting out. So I picked up about 14 doors that year. So there was still a lot of turnover. There was still a lot of changing repairs with the properties, finding tenants and things of that nature. So I was stabilizing the portfolio that I had and the properties that I had. I was getting out lines of credit so I can keep on going forward with purchasing, well, in the future, which I'm doing now, using a line of credits to be an LP in some deals, but just stabilizing the portfolio. But as far as the transition to multifamily, I was essentially just learning. I was meeting people, asking about their experiences in multifamily. I decided to join in multifamily. So I was examining the operators in the multifamily space, try to find the right mentor and coach for myself. And so, but as far as specifically my mental aspect, I just realized I had some things growing up that kind of held me back, maybe kind of gave me a tainted view of trying to reach some financial goals. And so in doing that, same thing, reading some books. And in these books, they gave you some tips to kind of go after. One of the things were to go out to dinner and don't look at the price of what you want to order. And so we went out to dinner and just, chose whatever we fancied for that night. And so just kind of getting rid of some of those hurdles and blocks that I've learned either through my parents, either through society, was a big help in me trying to go large and go bigger.
Okay, cool. So for those investors who don't have anything in their portfolio, what would you recommend them to do right now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it starts with just knowing your finances, right? It starts with knowing what's going in and coming out. It starts with credit score and knowing what your credit score is. If it's not at the point where you are able to invest, you just kind of work on that. You try to increase the income, but more so, you try to decrease the expenses. Then slowly but surely, the credit score rise. You pay bills on time. Credit score rise, and then after that, once you think you are on the path of going towards something or being able to invest in a property, you start pouring more and more into podcasts. You start pouring more into books. You start pouring more into just meeting people in those spaces that you want to get to. And then from that, just conversations, you'll learn a lot more that you could have if, you just sit on the sidelines and not doing anything.
No, I love that. I love that. Can you tell the world a little bit about what your portfolio is currently?
Yeah, so like I said, I picked up about 14 doors, and I think it was about 2022. I sold a couple of those off just to kind of keep on going, pushing, and things of that nature. There's a couple of properties that I didn't want to purchase, but it's attached to other properties that I was really wanted to keep. And so currently, right now, I have six single family properties in Nashville and Louisville, Clarksville, Tennessee, and have one quadplex in Louisville. And that's just on the personal side. On the multifamily side, as a GP, I have I'm a GP in about over 300 deals, and LP in about 112 deals. I mean,
Cool.
sorry, not deals, doors. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, no
Yeah.
worries, no worries. That's impressive, right? And it sounds like, you just work your butt off to get there. What has been one of the biggest lessons from the single families and multifamilies that you learned in real estate in general that's going to help you propel and even grow your portfolio even more?
Yeah, well, just to be honest, just coming and investing in real estate has come full circle. Just graduating high school, I wanted to be an investor, and I was told that I couldn't because I needed a lot of money. And at that time, I was working a minimum wage job, and so I just believed that then this manager just randomly told me this, what he thought about investing. And so at that point, I just believed in him. I just allowed whatever he said to be my truth, and it kind of altered my life at that point. And so just learning that, I'm looking back on that when I'm now picking up deals, I look back on that, and the biggest thing I've learned from it is do your own homework. Someone says something, you just kind of see if it's true and it's validated, and make sure who you listen to actually has gone and spent the time and going to where you're trying to get to. And so with that, that has helped me in multifacets of just real estate, is helped me looking for lenders, and it helped me looking for markets, because I just don't sit there and just listen to someone and that's the gospel. I do my own homework. If I get a no, I keep on going till I get it, till I get a yes.
And you've been wanting to invest. Would you do anything differently if you go back to whenever you first started?
Besides, besides starting earlier, yes. If I would have started when I wanted to start in Nashville, Tennessee, man, that would have been a game changer. But as far as doing anything different, I can't say that I would, man. It's a journey. I've been enjoying the journey. I've been enjoying you go somewhere and there's a failure, you learn from that failure, you keep on propelling forward. So besides starting earlier, no, there's not much I would do differently.
No, I got you. So you've been in the States, been in Argentina, you're in Portugal now. What's next for you? What's your goal? What do you want to get out of real estate?
Well, out of real estate, there's the 3 degrees of freedom. Yeah, there's the financial freedom, freedom of time, and freedom of a location. And so, just because I moved to Lisbon, Portugal, I'm not just sitting here living a kind of vacation style life. I did hear a quote, and it's kind of what I've believed or been thinking about when I went on vacation. And I was kind of ashamed to say it. And so the quote, well, what I had originally thought was, I want to live a life like I'm on vacation, but I was kind of ashamed to even vocalize that until I heard someone else say it much better. They said, live a life that you don't need a vacation from. And so that's where I'm trying to get to in real estate. And it's been helping me. Been the greatest partner in my professional career that I've had. I just want to get to a point where I can just enjoy my family. I can enjoy just, going to travel and not thinking about, oh, what's going to happen if I can't get money from X, Y, and Z source. I just want to be comfortable. Just want to keep on pouring into other people. Just want to keep on sharing my story, and hopefully that can kind of inspire someone else to kind of reach and do the exact same thing.
Gotcha. And one thing about that that I love is you didn't have no numeric goals, amount of doors, cash flow. You're searching for a lifestyle. And everyone that I know in real estate is basically searching for the same thing. And that's why I love real estate because it just gives you so many opportunities to provide for your family, friends, help out any kind of cause that you're passionate about. With that said, is there a certain amount of cash flow you would want in 10 years? Is there a certain amount of doors you would want in 12 years?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not. I mean, the doors is for me is hopefully it's gonna come off crash, but it's irrelevant. For me, it's the cash flow, and then of course the network at that time. And so, I mean, my goal right now is to get $10,000 in cash flow, and that's kind of my intermediate kind of goal. And following that goal, there's another goal beyond that. So who knows? And given in 30 years, I mean, 10 years, which you said, maybe I haven't thought about 10 years down the road too much. I've been trying to take it month by month, then year by year. But I can throw a number out there like 30,000 a month. But I really haven't thought about the 10-year time frame too much.
No, no worries. Not many people go out that far. It's usually like 5 years or 10,000 cash flow. That's the most common thing. So I didn't prep you for this, but is there any deal that was like a home run or a great deal that's a good lesson that you learned that the audience would love to hear?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest with you, I want to go back to when I first started as a quadplex in Louisville, Kentucky. I was just sitting there, and there's ways of going direct to seller. And I've been sending out postcards, I've been doing the text dialer and all that stuff. But this one came about through cold calling. And so I reached out to an owner. I've been touching base with this owner for a good amount of time. It had been about 6 months. That's a long time for me, but I've heard others been doing the same thing for over a year. But I just been consistently following up with them. Then at a certain point, he said, "Hey, listen, I'm ready to let it go." He had some. I don't want to put out his private business, but his spouse was bed stricken, and he just needed a way to get out. He was elderly. He couldn't take care of his properties. He just needed to get out. And so the greatest thing was he offered a price. Luckily, that price worked out with what we were trying to spend for it. And so we were able to take it over. He had a quadplex and also a single family. And so that was kind of one of those things. Of course, we got the cash on cash return we were looking for. We got the equity in the property we were looking for. But more importantly, it's a win for him because he was able to wash his hands with these properties that he just didn't have any time to take care of anymore. And so that's one of those things. And I mean, all the deals that I do try to look for win-win situations because there's a right way to do business. You do business the right way and you keep on progressing in that way. Who knows down the line, it can come back towards you.
Are you always doing direct to seller for your deals?
Well, with multifamily, I've been leaning heavily on broker relationships, but here lately we have sparked back the cold calling aspect, just going direct to sellers.
Oh, I love it because there's an art to both, right?
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
get having to pick up the phone. You just said it took you 6 months just to get that deal.
yeah.
And what were you saying for that seller to trust you specifically? Because I'm sure you're not the only one that was calling him. How were
Yeah.
you able to close down the deal?
Well, I mean, that's multifolded, right? So who knows? It might have just been timing. I just kept on following up and following up and following up. And during those conversations, I was asking about how his wife was doing. I was asking about things that he told me during previous conversations. And not just because I was trying to use these as a ploy to kind of, work my way inside. These things just came up naturally. And so just asking how things are going, just understanding the amount of stress he's under, understanding at that point he wasn't interested in selling. I asked him if I can reach back out. He said yes. And so I did so. And I just kept on doing it until I guess he reached a point where the timing worked out for him, where he was ready to sell. And he told me he was getting a lot of phone calls. He was getting a lot of people checking in. So I guess good attitude, you work on someone and they know that you're trying to find a win-win situation for them and for the other person. Maybe it was that kind of worked out. And to be honest with you, we're still kind of in contact today. And so yeah,
Relationships, it sounds like. And speaking of
yeah.
relationships, you're in multifamily now. Instead of going direct to seller, you're focused on brokers. So how is that relationship building with the brokers now? How are those conversations different?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've spent probably most of my professional life in commercial real estate. And so let's say 4 years of that was spent as a affiliate commercial real estate broker. And so I've kind of worked in the space a little bit, more so as a tenant representation. But just with that, I was able to get some reps, just kind of learn the lingo with some brokers and things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, brokers are just like anyone else, to be honest with you. They just kind of want to, make a deal. And so if they know that you're honest, if they know that you're actually sincere about trying to close, they're gonna be willing to help you out. And so, the more that you make these phone calls, you pick up on some things that kind of work the next time. And so, like one of the things that kind of, I don't want to give away my secrets, but one of the things that kind of I think I picked up is like, let's say I put a deal out there and it's way lower than what, their seller offer or accept. I'll follow up and just kind of see what that property is traded at. If it had sold, if it hadn't, the broker will, typically kind of give me some insight with what the owner's thinking. I can use that to maybe kind of put in another offer. Or the broker might just say, I got, the owner's stern about this price, but I got something else that's coming up. And so just build those relationships, trying to stay on top of the mind with the brokers. They know that you're serious. And so once something does come up, they're going to think about you. They're going to reach out to you and they're going to see if you're interested in that deal that they have. Because listen, they want to do the least amount of work as possible to get that property off their hand. So they want to work with people who are serious and who respond and also just kind of who are very close.
I got you. So based off just transactions now, your brokers' conversations, where do you see the multifamily real estate market going the next 2 to 3 years?
Ooh, well, I think that, and this is just me, I do think the prices is going to, well, of course, price is going to dip because what's happening with the interest rates. I do think the price is going to dip in the next, for the next year or two. But then I think it's going to slowly, gradually start going back up. I do think, well, and I hope, right, these interest rates start dropping, and some realization come in with some of the owners. I do think that that's going to be forced, as we've been seeing here recently. But I think there's going to be a dip in the next 1 to 2 years, but then I think it'll go back up.
Oh, but you don't think it's gonna crash? It's not gonna be like another '08 where people should just run away now? The Fed just said
No,
that they're
no,
not gonna lower interest rates until next year. So
yeah, yeah.
you don't think that's gonna affect, buying too much?
People are still looking for deals. I mean, you find a deal that works, it works. But we're gonna get to a point where, even if these operators need to let them go, there's a lot of people that's still waiting to try to take over them. You just kind of figure out what works for you, what works for your operators. You got institutionalized investors who are looking for deals out there as well. I do think the prices will drop, but I don't think it's going to drop insanely to the point where we were in 2008 because I remember that vividly.
No, I gotcha. And whenever I first got into real estate, there was a common theme for some reason. This was in 20, I think 2019, 2020. And it was like a competition between cash flow and appreciation. Buy for
Yeah.
appreciation, no buy for cash flow. What is your opinions about buying for appreciation or cash flow? Or do you just look for both?
Just for me investing, or so for me right
Yes.
now, investing, it all depends on where you're at in your life, right? So right now, I'm still out there just trying to go for cash flow, but also appreciation is going to be great, and so that's the kind of the great thing about the larger multifamily space, right? If you're an LP in a deal, you're getting some cash flow, but then, but also if you're a GP, you get some cash flow. And then once that asset is there's a capital event where the asset is sold or refinanced or whatever it may be, you if you're in a good market or a market that appreciates a little bit, you can reap those rewards. But right now, I'm at a point in my life where I'm looking for cash flow. Right now, I'm looking for that freedom of time and freedom of location as well.
So what are you looking for when you're underwriting deals? If there's like, what's the quick indicator that's going to tell you no or yes?
Just overall, we're looking for at least about 14% IRR. We're looking for at least 6 or 7% cash on cash return and a 2x multiplier. So basically, you're stubbing your money for the passive investors.
Cool. And what's an IRR? There's a lot of people who won't know what that is.
Internal rate of return. So it's just, they're taking account of time value of money. And so it's just saying that, you invest this money in X amount of years with time value accounted for. This is what the return will be.
I love it. And with that, we're going to move on to the next segment of the show where I ask everybody the same three questions. Question one.
Uh-oh.
Question one. If you can recommend two books for the aspiring investor to read, what would they be?
Oh man, I don't want to be that person that says rich dad, poor dad.
Give me
But I have to
something
say
that,
rich dad, I have to say rich dad, poor dad for one. And also there's a book that I read when I was trying to get into multifamily, and I can't recall it right now. So I'll say Psychology of Money. How's that? And that's not a real estate book, but it's a book that will help with the real estate and the mindset of what are you thinking about when it comes to terms of money? Because a lot of us have like these issues of getting money or issues of what their perception is of the rich, and so that was one of the books that kind of helped me shake off what I've been subconsciously learning growing up.
second question. What has been the most impactful speech or lesson that's helped you in your career?
Speech or lesson? I guess the most impactful lesson, I don't want to go back to the same thing I've already mentioned, was when I listened to that guy who told me that I could invest in real estate because I needed to make a lot of money. And so just that was probably the greatest lesson of my life. Just, allowing him to kind of change the trajectory of my life was huge. And I don't look back at it with disdain. I look back at it as, how can I learn from this and never allow it to happen again? And so, like I said, something I carry forward to this day. When I was looking for a line of credits, I've literally called so many small banks to see what their rates are. Some said that we couldn't do it. I just kept on calling others until I heard a number that worked for us. And so I use that with everything that we do, to be honest with you.
If you can have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
So many people. I'll say Kobe Bryant. How's that? I was gonna say Jimi Hendrix, but I'll stick with Kobe Bryant. And the reason why is just, mindset, tenacity, from the stories that you hear, of course, just the mindset aspect of it, is way of attacking where he's going for. And so I would just love to kind of chop it up with them, ask questions about that, and, how he overcome some of the issues that he was confronted with, rather.
No, I love it. And Corey, how can the audience help you? What are you looking for? How can people reach out to you? Let us hear it.
Yeah, they can reach out. I'm on Instagram. I'm starting to get more on LinkedIn. Just my name, Corri. Last name is Golden. I'm just putting out educational and entertainment videos and LinkedIn, just mainly educational stuff. So yeah, just check in. If you guys have some questions about real estate or just living abroad or anything, just reach out to me. We can set up a call, 30-minute call, and we can chop it up.
Put that in the show notes. Well, Corey, thank you so much for joining the show, and I hope to have you back soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Have a good day.
That was Corey, everybody. At the beginning of the podcast, I told you I'll give you 3 actionable steps that you can do today to get you 1% closer to your goal of buying your next real estate investment. Step 1, reach out to 3 brokers this week. 80% of multifamily deals are done through brokers.
So might as well start building a relationship, because it might take you a year, it might take you 2 or 3 years. But if you build that relationship with the broker and grow with him, then he might give you a pocket listing, or he might let you know all the deals he has coming up before they even hit the market, which gives you the competitive advantage. Step 2, find an owner, find their name, find their number. You can do 5-speed research, like go in the county, figure out who owns what, call them. When it comes to single family homes, or even sometimes multifamily, calling the owner directly is going to help you, just because sometimes these owners don't want to deal with the brokers, the salesman, or anything like that. So all it takes is one call, like Corri said, and you can get a deal and start your journey for the rest of your life. And number 3, and I've said it before, network, network, network. Find someone in your group, in the city that you're in the state that you're in a different state, does not matter, a state that you want to invest in. Find someone and network with them at least once a month. Start the conversations. Business is relationships, real estate is business. So continue to build these relationships so it can only benefit you. Stay steady, stay ready. See you next time.